Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined as always by Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning, Matt.
You know, it's 2022.
It is.
And New Year's resolutions are abound.
They are.
And America wants to know, what is your New Year's resolution?
Well, we've got one as a family to start running as a family.
How's that going?
Well, we started yesterday.
And?
I am in a world of hurt today.
Because you were walking in looking like 80 years old,
yeah,
kind of.
trying to walk the stairs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, every muscle in my body.
So you ran, what, 10 miles?
Just the one.
Oh, one. Okay.
I started with one.
Gotcha. Well, that's good.
And I'm not a runner. I do not enjoy running. I'm not a runner. But both my kids run.
You ran, so therefore.
I guess now I'm a runner.
Yeah.
So, yep. Today is day 2. I'm doing a half mile today.
You can do that. That's okay.
I'm downgrading.
That's okay.
A half mile today.
So, all good. That's good for you. Good for you.
They were proud. They cheered. They were like, "Yay, you finally got back home, Mom." It only took you 12 minutes.
It's exciting and a little upsetting at the same time.
Listen, I'm not a runner.
Well, you did
I don't
fine.
enjoy running, and so I ran my pace.
Good for you.
I had my
good
my
for
music.
you.
I did it.
Well, good.
So
joining us today is the Trace Chester.
I thought you were talking about somebody.
No.
What are you doing?
Joining us in studio. You're not always here.
I'm not.
So
you're right.
I'm welcome.
Typically,
President
you
and
schedule these.
CEO of USA Cares.
Well, I've noticed that you schedule these when I'm not available. It's like you go in and you look at my calendar and then you try to figure
I
out,
like to be
hey,
nice.
he's going to be in a
I
meeting
like
out of
to be
town.
nice.
So.
I'm supposed to make you feel welcome.
Oh,
so,
thank you. Thank you.
Every once in a while, I'll throw you a bone. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Alexis is like our employee of the year for 2021.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to go to her head.
I got the gold star.
Oh,
did.
She got
She
the
did.
gold star.
The gold star.
And we were running through a list of people a week ago. Whenever I snuck in, I
This is really your fault.
You know.
I'm just saying, this is your fault.
So, we forgot to mention, we were talking about all the new employees been here less than a year. I don't know how we forgot Alexis.
Well, can I point out, you did. Forgot to mention Alexis, but
You were the one naming the employees.
Can I mention one other thing?
What?
You also forgot me.
You were sitting right here.
I'm just saying.
Oh, my God.
You
were on
forgot
the
both
podcast.
of us.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So, Alexis, we're glad that you're part of the team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be part of the team. It's only been 6 months, and it feels like 16 years.
It does a little bit. The glare I got walking down the hall after that podcast came out was fire shooting out of the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did you forget something?
What, do I not even work here anymore? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I heard she filed an HR complaint
Did I
against
get
me.
fired and no one told me?
Probably.
Yeah.
No, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, we're glad you're part of the team. So, interesting podcast today, and one I'm very excited about. So we like to highlight companies at times that are veteran friendly, veteran owned, veteran friendly. And if you're new to this podcast, by the way, we try to create a podcast here that is all about the veteran community, all about supporting our veterans, either those who are currently active duty or those who are retired. We try to make a community, try to help support a community that is going to support you. So whether you're transitioning out of the military, you've been out of the military for a long time, or you're currently serving, we want to be here to serve you, and that's what this podcast is all about. So we also want to highlight those companies that are doing the same, and that's kind of what today is about. And back, Alexis, when was the event in Austin, Texas?
I think it was in May.
It was in May of 2021. So I had the chance to go down and join our great chapter led by Rayanne Pay in Austin, Texas. And we had an event, reached out to this coffee company and said, hey, why don't you guys come alongside us and help us? And they went out of their way. They were all about it and helped us support a great group of veterans. And pretty amazing. So I wanted to learn more about this, dug in, found this guy named Dan Horgan, who I've been bugging on email and social media for a little while now. So, but he has graciously agreed to join us this morning. So joining us from Black Rifle Coffee Company, the director of special projects and the self-proclaimed brand evangelist, Mr. Dan Horgan. Good morning, Dan.
Yeah, morning, everybody.
Thank you so much for being with us.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my honor. I'm loving this. I'm usually behind the scenes kind of guy.
Well, we're
Me too.
gonna stretch you a little bit here and put you right on camera. But this has been so cool, and I love the idea of a company that is just very black and white, very out there. This is what we're about. This is who we are. Tell me how Black Rifle got started, who started it, and what was kind of the genesis for the whole thing.
Yeah. So really 2014 and Evan Hafer. So Evan Hafer is the founder, CEO of the company. Evan worked for the agency and was a Green Beret, but had a love for coffee. And so he'd be, the whole, backstories are funny. He was making coffee on the back of his Humvee. And that's kind of where the name, even Black Rifle Coffee Company comes from, is literally, there's his, SBR, his M4 sitting there. So he's thinking about making coffee. Well, he links up with Matt Best and Jared Taylor. So Matt Best and JT are co-founders of the company. And they were doing a bunch of YouTube videos, right? So back in that 2014 timeframe, YouTube was pretty exploding. Matt and JT were producing their rap videos and, how to work out like an operator, like some pretty funny stuff. So Evan linked up with JT and Matt, and then they even linked up with another one. Richard Ryan is one of the other co-founders. Richard is kind of a quieter partner of it. But Richard, he does like explosives and like all our slow-mo. If you watch the videos with a slow-mo, round shooting and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, boom, 2014, these guys create it. They do a couple bags based off of the company that Matt and Jared had called Article 15. Yeah, right. that was the first company, Article 15.
What is Article 15? I don't know that. I don't know that term.
Article 15.
You both reacted to that, so I'm like, okay, what is that?
You're not. Article 15 is not a good thing. Article 15 is you get in trouble.
Gotcha.
I'm not quite going to kick you out, but it's not a slap on the wrist. It's up in there.
It's not an attaboy. Got it.
No, not at all.
No gold star.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is coming through. So we were talking earlier. So I'm in my house. I can see the sun coming through my big bay windows now hitting me. So I'm trying to.
That's okay.
So that kicked off. They sold out those bags like that and skyrocket from now. So 2022. Now we have stores and coffee in a can and the new art design for bags. It's just phenomenal.
So was the idea to have stores everywhere? Was that his original idea, or just to sell some coffee?
Really just to sell some coffee. But, we still really primarily right now are an e-com company, like you're talking about the website, the coffee club we have is really still a huge part of it. Actually, here in San Antonio today, some of our coffee club members don't know it, but we're starting a little pilot program where we're going to self-deliver some of our coffee club subscriptions in a certain radius.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
Nice.
Up the game.
Yeah.
How you're, if you're
awesome.
a coffee club member, what's that experience I can give for you? So the original one, Evan and the guys thought, which we had forever, was e-com, was the website.
Yeah.
But now, just as growth came from the company, we're able to, like how you guys are opening up new chapters, we are trying to open up, retail shops. And the next 4 years is going to be crazy with how many retail stores we're going to try to get.
Yeah. And Trace and I, we were down in Fort Campbell, down on the Tennessee-Kentucky border.
Clarksville.
And that was our meeting spot there, wasn't it?
It was.
And I'll never forget walking in, and we had not long before, we had Will Summers on.
Right.
And Will's a good friend of USA Cares. Will is one of the horse soldiers featured in the movie 12 Strong. And we walk into the Clarksville store, and back on the wall by the bathroom, I'm looking at the horse soldiers. There they are. Yep. So it was kind of a strange moment. And I'm sure if you've ever been to a Black Rifle coffee store, you'll notice the wallpaper is really I don't know how to describe
It's
it.
unique, but I think,
It's
and
storytelling.
yeah, it is. And I'm pretty sure that was designed because 5th Group Special Forces, which is the horse soldiers, that's home at Fort Campbell. And so
Gotcha.
I think a lot of it
I
is,
didn't put that together.
I guess I should ask Dan instead of assuming this, but I think that most of the stores that are near a military installation, do you all wrap it with wallpaper of units and groups that are from that area?
Yeah, we're definitely trying to. I would tell you we've had some recent conversations where I think we have to tweak it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But like the Clarksville is the gold standard exactly.
Oh,
Like you
it's
said,
amazing.
it's walk in. It's a storytelling. It should be a story told right from that local
Mhm.
community thing. Because we have some stores in Dallas, right, and there's really not a base
Right.
up in that Dallas Fort
Right.
Worth area. But just think of the history of like the stockyards in that Fort Worth area. So that's what we're trying to do too. Yeah, right. Is tell that story with those wraps.
Yeah, I spent years at Fort Campbell there, left,
Right.
came back. And so going in there and seeing all these different photos of the history, the 101st Airborne Division.
I think
5th
you
Group
started
and all that.
singing.
I did. I actually started singing the 101st song. So,
Yeah.
but it was great.
Yeah, it was very
Well,
cool
I was
experience.
excited. We have a store in Moore, Oklahoma, and I call it some of my nerd years in the Air Force. I flew on AWACS,
Yeah.
and so it was really nice, like to walk into that store and some of that rap because Moore is really close to Tinker Air Force Base in
Mhm.
Oklahoma City. So yeah, they have like some AWACS on there, and that's really cool to see stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So, Dan, how did you get started with the company? And talk to us a little bit more about your background. You mentioned you're in Air Force, and
And I don't know what an AWAC is.
I don't either.
AWAC.
So yeah, I'll start. So that's right. That's Veteran Faux Pas 101. Just start throwing acronyms around.
Well, we're used to it.
Dan, Alexis and I are not veterans, so that's kind of the give and take here. Is that Trace is, and he knows all this, and we don't. So treat us
Right.
like we're idiots
We
for a
do
minute.
just nod and laugh along. We're like, oh.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Article 15, absolutely. I had 3 of those. Yeah, no problem.
No, I'm actually one of those. I call myself not really a unicorn, but unique. So I'm not only now a veteran, as in like a military retiree. So I retired in 2016 from the Air Force. I did 7 years as a police officer, so now I have a law enforcement background. But my wife is still in the Oklahoma Air Guard, but we're here in Texas on active duty orders. So now I'm also a military dependent. So I'm a spouse, military spouse.
Wow,
That's
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
that's
so I get,
awesome.
like 3 really good wickets there.
Yeah, that's good.
The story that kind of brings me to Black Rifle was just that though. So I retired actually from the Oklahoma Air Guard, but I had about 14 years active duty time. Then I was in the Guard Reserve for like the last 10. So I retired from 2016, and I was working at an aviation company in Oklahoma City, kind of doing what I started out doing here, really being the first sergeant, kind of like a chief of staff for this aviation company.
Mhm.
But my wife, so in the Guard, like you can be a traditional Guard person, like just do your 1 weekend a month or 2 weeks, right? Or you can
Mhm.
go full time and you got to work full time. So she was looking at orders, and they offered her a slot here in San Antonio at Randolph Air Force Base.
Hmm.
And so she was like, hey, I would like to take those, but that would mean obviously us moving here. But like she had done stuff for my career, so it was my turn. I'm like, sure, let's do
Yeah.
it. But when we talk about, again, veterans transition, I probably, again, was the veteran like faux pas because I was probably too confident. I was like, oh my God, Yeti will pick me up. Like, Yeti's in Austin,
Yeah.
Run Styles here, and I knew Black Rifle was here. And I was like, oh my God, one of those 3 will pick me up like that. That'll be easy. Yeah, it didn't work out as easy as that. It did happen quickly, but not as quickly as I thought. So I was doing some contract work from home, which was great, but I really don't. And I tell you, even with this pandemic, I'm not a big fan of working from home 100%. I do like a hybrid model. So like I said,
Mhm.
after this, I'm definitely heading to the office. Anyway, so a job posting, I was on Indeed and I'm searching, and there was a posting, and it was for an executive assistant / project manager for Evan, for the CEO.
Mhm.
Really, and for the co-CEO. So I don't want to dismiss Tom. So Tom Davin is our co-CEO for the company currently, right? Recon Marine, Harvard Business School graduate, right? Like CEO of 511 was his last position. So anyway, so it was to work for them. But the job description, typical Black Rifle, even again back then 3 years ago, was it literally read they wanted a transitioning 03 who used to be a general's aide. which is like an assistant to a general. But I literally read that. And this is where I call my LinkedIn success story. I LinkedIn our CEO, our COO of the time, Scott Harvey, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, how about a Combat E7 who's done the job for a CEO of an aviation company, that you're looking for? I get an interview like 2 days later. Scott responds like, hey, contact this person for an interview. I do the interview, and then I was hired like probably 4 days later.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. So super risk, because now as the company grows, we actually have a really legit recruiting team and stuff like that. I probably joke, I'm not sure if I would have made it through the system.
So you got in right at the right time.
Yeah. Well, again, LinkedIn. So I'll probably talk about LinkedIn. I'll list a lot. I'm trying to avoid that sun. And I'll talk about
you look very angelic. Yeah, you're fine.
I'll talk about LinkedIn a lot just because there are a lot of veterans and a lot of good military transition people out there. Michael Quinn is one. If you're on LinkedIn, follow Michael. A lot of good stuff. And I can look back where I probably broke a lot of his, not rules, but like his thoughts. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, so I started out with Evan and Tom, but Tom, like I said, had been a CEO. Like Tom's an ultimate CEO. I think he was born probably just a CEO. I spent like 99% of my time working with Evan. And that kind of really, like day one, actually on the job, they both say, they're like, you're not executive assistant / project manager. They're like, they're like, change your title. So day one, I'm on the job Googling alternative titles to executive assistant project manager. So like, yeah. So day one, we came up with executive operations. Executive operations kind of turned into chief of staff. And then as my career progressed, Evan was like, okay, this guy's not bad. I'll keep him around. Right. We used to make the joke. I was called the Hand, because people would say, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, they'd be like, well, what do you do at Black Rifle? And then I would say, are you a Game of Thrones fan? And if I could get a nod or two, if they said yes, they were Game of Thrones fans, the answer was easy. I was like, I'm the Hand. And they were like, oh. So are you guys familiar then? Are you Game of Thrones fans?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, that was my role. But then Evan likes to say that he kind of took the training wheels off and let me go over to marketing. So then I became the director of marketing, kind of operations, but was really running like events, helping out with the social media influencers. It was a lot of hats, the charitable giving side of the company we had. So did that for a while, and there were a ton of events. And so Matt, when we were talking about like your event, I don't know if that was me, but kind of back in the day, like I don't know
if that was you either, to be honest with you. I was brand new, right off the turnip truck at the time. So I don't know. I just know you guys came through for us big time on that.
But
I actually think it was him, because there was a LinkedIn live event. I know Mike Quinn really well. And so Dan was actually on there with him. And that's where we connected on LinkedIn, was from, he was on LinkedIn Live with Mike.
Okay.
And I messaged you, and I think that's where it all kind of started.
Yeah. And so I used to just handle that stuff like on the fly. Like if people asked for things, and I would get, my team who had access to the supply chain to order it up and get it out the door. Now we're a little bit more, as we talked a little bit earlier, a little bit more structured, and there's a donations page and you can request and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at now. Evan created a separate brand division. So we actually have a brand division. So Black Rifle, I can say, and I do say so many good things, but we're a coffee company, right? And foremost, but man, we are a media company second.
Yes, you are.
The content that we put out. So our content department is separate from our marketing department. And now we have a branding division that's separate even from those two, trying to get that whole funnel and everything going. So that's where I'm at now, is working in branding, and kind of when we say special projects, it's a lot of the stuff that I was even doing that really does integrate with marketing. Like Total Archery Challenge just kind of falls under my umbrella. If you're familiar with that, it's a 3D archery event. I helped spearhead, because we're the title sponsors this year, and we do a thing called the Veteran Adaptive Athlete Shoot. So this will be our third annual one this year, where we try to get some adaptive athletes out and employees and stuff. And this year we'll try to probably get about like 60 shooters out here to our Texas ranch, and we'll shoot a little 3D archery course that started off in late April. So that's one of mine. SHOT Show. If you're familiar, that's a tactical convention in Vegas, one of the big convention. I'll be out there here in January. There's a little bit under my umbrella and it's just things like that. So a lot of special projects, if Evan kind of needs some things, like we have some big partners kind of coming on board that I can't say names with yet because I don't think we've ever released it, but I'll kind of be their POC, right? Just to be able to touch base. So they have a single. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm curious, because your stores are unique and you're, like you said, you truly are a media marketing company.
Yeah.
What is the reaction? Because obviously it's working, but what are people's reaction when they walk into the store? When you see somebody walk into a new store, what is their reaction?
It's a community. Like I was thinking of like what a one-word answer would be for you. I think it's community. Like they walk in. I mean, if you walk in, I'll say if you walk in a Starbucks, you walk in a Dunkin' Donuts. And there's so many other little local coffee shops. You really just have to think to yourself, what brings me to here, right?
Right.
And it's, I talk about, again, on LinkedIn about branding and quality and stuff. Like I'm a huge Yeti fan, right? I don't do any Arctic and stuff like that or things, but I like my Yeti because it's the quality. So when I say that, it's the community that walks in, right? And so they walk in those initial wraps, right? Okay, you got all these wraps on the wall. And again, if that's my market, like I'm a military guy, right? Or you don't even have to be a military guy or woman. Like maybe I'm an outdoors, right? I'm an outdoors person. You walk in and you see, because we do have a lot of outdoor stuff too. So you walk in and you see the wraps. You're like, okay. But like we have the wood, right? The reclaimed wood up on the wall.
Yep.
And then there's merchandise out too, right? We make a lot of these designs. I'm pointing like I got my shirt. We have these designs. You put them on a mug and you put them on a shirt, and now people have merchandise that they can touch and feel and see and buy right there. But then it even comes like to coffee. So you really are walking into the coffee shop to drink coffee. Right? We have our coffee bags there too. So you can't only, right? And we're really, kicking butt, with these designs instead of just doing like a black coffee bag. Now, like these bags are just getting phenomenal and crazy with the artwork. And it's really become like more like I'm getting this bag just to like, some people too have like kept the bags and made like blankets and stuff out of them and murals. Yeah. So it just I think of community. And so our first store, like our company owned stores here in San Antonio, it's off of Bitters Road. If I were to drive there now, it's probably packed, but it's packed with people sitting at the table. Like they're staying there to work probably. Like you see meetings going on and people working. And again, it just goes back to even one word, community.
Well, and to me, that's been the shift. When you remember the whole coffee house thing craze started.
Right.
It was Seattle, back in the early 90s probably. And it was all about people coming in, sitting down at a Starbucks or whatever it was, and hanging out with people from their community, maybe having business meetings, doing that. Morphed to today, where it's pretty much a drive-through line.
Right.
And a lot of that is gone. And I think what's unique and what people appreciate, not just, beyond the military aspect of it, is that. And that's what we saw even at our time at the Clarksville, Tennessee store, was people not sitting in a drive-through, but coming in, sitting down, talking, and having that community moment.
Yeah, drive-throughs are a really good model. So our retail team will love that when I talk about theirs. Drive-throughs are a huge retail, like a must. But Bernie, so we have a store up in Bernie, Texas. So Bernie's about 20 or 30 minutes just north here of San Antonio. Bernie's a little small town. Well, that was, one of the new stores too. And it doesn't have a drive-through. It's a corner one because it's an old town, right? The building's probably however old. So they don't have a drive-through. They crush it, right? So drive-throughs are great. But again, that's great. It's quick. Unless you're in a drive-through line and the person in front of you orders a pour over. So that's one of their things, right? So we have all the methods of making coffee, and a pour over is like 5 to 7 minutes. So if the person in front of you orders a pour over, you're like, oh my God. But
makes it a little
really
tough.
Sitting down. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I love that about it. I think that's an important aspect and something that I'm excited to see coming back. So,
well, it is. It's a community thing because I will tell you, I will not go near Fort Campbell unless I go to Black Rifle. I mean, because I want to go in, and sad as it is, I'm old enough now, and everybody can tell. I get to relive my youthful years, by the memories and looking on the wall. I mean, and it's a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. There's certain things. If I travel somewhere, I'm going to Hardee's, I'm going to Carl's Jr.
Right.
because of everything they do for the veterans for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to Black Rifle.
That's it.
So
Well said.
sorry.
Well,
This is why they don't let me get on here often.
Hardee's would date you. There's not many probably Hardee's out there anymore, are there?
There's quite a few.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
East of the Mississippi primarily, and then west is the Carl's Jr.
Your area, yeah, you may see Carl's Jr.
You see Carl's Jr.
Yeah. Different label. So,
Yeah.
well, good. Alexis?
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
No, I'm a coffee snob, and I'm dying to try this Black Rifle coffee. And I am pretty true to my Starbucks, but when I find a good coffee,
We'll change that.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
yeah, there we go. No, here we go. So let's.
I
what?
need it.
Oh, it's a
What about
showdown
it?
now. It just got
Here we
real.
go.
Here we go.
What
He's
about
ready
it
too.
Do you like? I mean, are you getting a lot of like? Are you creamers in it and added it like whipped cream and stuff, or just
I like
straight
black coffee. Yep, I like a nice either a breakfast blend. I like a blonde roast. I don't.
You're a light, right? Like
Yeah.
a light roast. Yeah. So silencer smooth is our light roast, right? So that's what I would recommend. Yeah,
Because
Alexis.
I was looking at all of the different coffees yesterday, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks good." But I don't
Silencer
have.
smooth is the light roast, but if you want to go just a tad bit, right, the first blend but it's rated to medium level is just black, the JB. So silencer smooth is light, and I'm a silencer smooth because I'll drink straight. I get no creamer and stuff, so I don't like it too dark. But
I like
we
to
have
taste the
one again.
coffee.
Yes.
I
Well,
do.
we have ones where the names are pretty unique, probably controversial too, because our darkest blend is called Murdered Out, and that's
Mhm.
really dark.
Well,
really
like they say those with like paints, like you say those.
That's right.
I think that's cool.
Well, now you got your advice.
I know.
Now you
that's what I was
have your
needing.
and
Yeah.
hopefully there'll be a store here in Louisville, Kentucky,
Yeah.
sometime in the near future.
Well, and that's when we were talking earlier. I mean, I'm almost losing track of when we were talking now and starting, but I would say
Yeah.
it's the retail stores will do a lot. It's like 20, 30, and it keeps going on. And I think the 4-year goal is somewhere around like 200 some stores.
Wow.
But and if you're on LinkedIn and you look at the company page and we talk about a store opening, everybody was like, I hope one comes here or here. 200 doesn't even touch
Yeah.
like the demand.
Once
yeah,
it catches fire, it'll need to be everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's good. So what do you envision? Like, what do you all hope that this becomes in 5 years? Like, what do you hope this to be? Because as well as I do, companies can start out with this really unique, interesting thing, and they can become watered down over the years. So how do you keep it? How do you keep that community? How do you keep that brand? How do you keep the energy going for the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, no, not that I think it's easy because it's not easy by any means, but it's almost maturity. So when I talk about 2014, Matt and JT were making crazy YouTube videos. Those are still funny, but as I am now older and everybody gets older, they still can be funny, but it's, some of our stuff now like keeps that, but I see the maturity, but maturity too is like, okay, well, then you're going to get rid of maybe your younger crowd that really wanted that immaturity. And that's where it's a happy medium with like, but that's also where your culture is going.
Yeah.
Like 14, we still had like a war going on, right? And Afghanistan was still a thing and that military flavor. Now that we don't, like that shut down, when I say shut down, right? So when that's not there anymore is where that goes. But that's where Black Rifle in 5 years will still like the veteran community, the military community, but it's really even about it's about the outdoors too.
Yeah.
Like really these last 3 or 4 years, archery, right? We've really gotten into archery. And I say that like as a company, I didn't shoot archery before I came. And now I love foam is home is one of our, funny sayings, and 'cause you shoot foam 3D targets. I just did my first hunt a couple months ago. A nonprofit that's affiliated with us, the Hunter Recruitment Project. Like I flew out to Georgia and did my first hunt.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I used to make the joke like I've hunted people. Right, it's kind of,
It's a little
I've
shift.
never,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
that's dark
That's
humor.
good.
Yeah. So,
Well,
but
you
that's
do
where
have that loyal following. You do have that community. You do support a veteran community that is extremely loyal, and the
yes.
outdoors community is extremely loyal to their brands. So I think that will serve you well.
Same thing
What
with law
is
enforcement. Law enforcement,
Yeah,
first
that's good.
responders are one of our key pillars. I mean, and those aren't ever going to go away. And it's like a company. I did a startup panel like 2 years ago with Tim Jensen. Tim's with Grunt Style, and so
Uh-huh.
here I am with Tim, and he really helped start Grunt Style. I think Tim's title now is like their chief strategy officer or something like that. But anyway, but someone in the audience asked that too, kind of the same question, like, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Like, could you go away? And that's not what you were
Mm,
asking, but you almost could say that, like, were you going to go away? And I answered it kind of for Tim, and I was like, we're a coffee company. So unless coffee beans dry up and the world doesn't have coffee, we're going to be around. But like
yeah,
a company like Grunt Style will always be around too, as long as there's a military.
right.
Their market is a military, right? The epitome,
Yeah.
of an E4, E5, who loves some of the crazy shirts and wants that unit pride. Grunt Style is going to make those shirts and people are going to buy them,
Yep.
So 5 years, we'll just hopefully grow though, because we actually have our own nonprofit now, but our
Mhm.
nonprofit actually helps other nonprofits, right? That's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So 5 years, I just see like that just growing exponential.
So talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
We've got a few minutes left, but talk about that nonprofit for a second and what you're planning to do or doing for other nonprofits. Because, like I said, you came alongside. You guys helped us
Yeah.
at our event, and what are you doing for veterans through your nonprofit?
Yeah. So it's called the BRCC Fund. I kind of make fun of it. Super original name. I wish we would have went with maybe something more flashy. But we and that's
Says
a
the
joke.
marketing guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did. When I say we, Evan and the team, I was in a room when they were spitballing names, and they were coming up with like military, like maybe we call it like, lightning thunder or something, how you come up with a military
Yeah.
operation name. It has 2 words, and they decided against that. So right now it's called the BRCC Fund. And on Instagram, it has its own Instagram page. It's BRCC Gives. But really what it does is Tier Cymax. So Tier is actually still a sergeant major with, hope he doesn't kill me. I think it's still 19th Group out of Salt Lake. But he works for us full time. Tier started that up like under Evan and the board's vision, right? And so we submitted our paperwork to be a nonprofit.
Hmm.
But Tier is going to run over some of our other, we actually have another thing called Free Range American. So Tier's going to do that. So now we have Jay Fan, and Jay's actually an adaptive wounded veteran. And so
Hmm.
Jay's taking over that. And so with his team that he's growing now, when they get money in, they're really giving money back out, but they're giving money back out in a lot of different ways and product. So there's the charitable giving side.
Uh-huh.
You as a nonprofit are going to go do something at a gun range to raise money for yours, but you want
Right.
product or something to help like entice people to get there. So he'll take care of that. So we'll still do that. And product all day long, right? We'll give
Yeah.
coffee and the coffee in a can, because again, it's good for you, but when
Right.
you have that it helps drive people there too. Like, oh, I can get something, Black Rifle. The other portion of it, though, is Evan kind of challenged them or tasked them is to give out like a check a week. So they're really trying to give out like a $5,000, $10,000 check like a week
Mm-hmm.
to either another veteran nonprofit or another veteran business.
Yeah.
So, say you're a veteran business where, I don't know, there's a million popping through my head right now. But anyway,
Yeah.
a $5,000 check could really help. And so we've looked at that. And so usually at the grand openings at
Mm-hmm.
some of the stores, that's part of our itinerary, right? We'll flag raise, national anthem, cut the ribbon, but then our next thing immediately is right to hand off a check to either one of the organizations.
That's
So
awesome.
that's just growing. And so really even like for our veteran adaptive athlete shoot that Black Rifle puts on, the nonprofit side that we have, the BRCC Fund, is really going to help out with like companies like PSC. So PSC is
Mm-hmm.
Archie, a bow company. We're really friendly with them. We all shoot PSEs, and so PSE will help us out. But it's able now to go through our fund, and then now we're able to help more veterans. And like I said, we'll try to get like 20 or 30 more to shoot this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the goal for the fund, is really
Good.
just to keep giving back, when I say to the veteran community, to just the organizations that we support.
Yeah.
And it's those pillars of veteran, outdoors and law enforcement, first responders.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dan,
Really,
I'm excited about what you guys are doing. I'm excited about Black Rifle. Looking forward to getting back to another one of your stores. Looking forward to you opening one in Louisville, Kentucky, sometime, hopefully soon. But
I will push our retail team.
yeah, move that to the top, would you? But man, thanks for joining us. Thank you for all you're doing. Tell everybody at Black Rifle we said hello, and hopefully we can have you guys back on here again sometime soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Yep.
Alexis, this chapters thing keeps coming up.
I know.
And it's exploding.
I know.
We're going to have some announcements coming up here in the near future of the new chapters coming on. We have 12 chapters currently. We are looking to add 24 more, Trace. Did you ever think that we would be looking at 36 chapters around the country?
Well, I had always dreamed of it and hoped to. But,
Well, we're going to get it done.
Making it happen.
I know. It's amazing.
We have people standing up all over the country, raising their hands, saying, I'm ready to help. So we're going to utilize those people, and we're going to get the word out that veterans still need assistance, even though we're not in conflict.
Oh, yeah. And that's always going to be, because that's something that we've dealt with since 2003. I mean, we've helped over 100,000 service members, and there's been conflicts on and off. I mean, the thing is there are millions of veterans out there, and some of them just go through some tough times occasionally.
Right.
And so that's what we're here for,
Yep.
just to try to help them. Last night, it was LinkedIn messages going back and forth. There was somebody that was in the Maryland, Virginia area, and it was a veteran that had been discharged from the hospital but didn't have anywhere to go. So we were up in the middle of the night messaging back and forth, trying to figure out a solution there. But thankfully, somebody else was in that area. One of our board members, Heidi, was actually saying, I'll drive there and I'll help. It was a snowstorm. She said, well, it's an hour and 20 minutes away, but I'll go.
Wow.
And so we have to support our veterans, our active duty military and our veterans. And, we had over 1,000 cases this past year that we actually applied financial assistance to help, and I think the big thing is a lot of people forget about the kids.
Yeah.
There are so many kids. I actually have a report that I pulled up. I looked of all the cases that we did help and we were able to help, it involved 740 kids. So, these little ones, these dependents, they're serving too, in a sense. And if they're veterans and they're out, it's heartbreaking sometimes. If you got to send your child to go live with someone else, while you stay in your car, it's tough.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we do. The days of seeing pictures of soldiers coming back, missing limbs with physical injuries, those are going to start to fade. And
they'll
now
fade,
the injuries are less visible.
Yeah, they'll fade. But, I have a very good friend of mine that's in the D.C. area, has a amazing position with the Army. And he tells me all the time, it doesn't matter if conflicts are going on. There are things in the world, and we do have service members serving. And they are going through challenging times, even if it isn't broadcasted. So that never ends, unfortunately. So, but
the TBI, the PTSD, those issues are the struggle right now, primarily.
It is. PTSD, traumatic brain injury, the bulk of, like say this report, the bulk of what we dealt with was keeping people in their homes before they're homeless. We always talk about homeless veterans. Apparently, we must be the first responders because everybody's referring people to us to help before they're homeless. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what you all do. But that's the big thing is let's stop it before it happens.
So that's what this chapters program is going to be all about. So we're giving a platform to these cities all around the country for people to come out of the woodwork, get involved. All those people who are standing there saying, I really don't know what to do or how to get involved. Alexis, now they can get involved.
Absolutely.
So where do they go if they wanted to find out more about USA Cares or about USA Cares
you
chapters?
can go to our website at usacares.org, or you can always find us on all the different social medias. We're pushing out all kinds of great content. What we do, talking about our different programs and how we can help before.
Yep, and that's going to ramp up. They're going to see more and more stories. We want you to see the people that are doing all this great work. We want you to hear the stories of the people who have been helped, because there's so much out there, and we can't always share all these stories because a lot of them are very personal. But so many people whose lives are being changed because people around the country are coming together and making a difference. So check that out, usacares.org. We want you to be a part of our team this year in 2022. Make that your New Year's resolution. Decide today that you're going to be part of it. Hit that donate button. Become a monthly donor at $25, $50. You can do $1,000 a month if you want. I don't care. But make it part of your commitment this year that you are going to join the team.
So something, Matt, I want to tell everybody.
Yeah.
I want everyone to go to Black Rifle Coffee. Go online, shop, get something. When you get it, I want you to take a photo, send it to us on our social media, and talk about your experience there. And if you're near one of the stores, I want you to go in the store.
Dan, are you hearing this?
Take photos. I want to see photos.
All right, there we go. So we want to see your pictures. So definitely get those posted right away. Hit the subscribe button. Make this podcast part of your weekly routine. We want to be there with you every single week. We want to share the stories of the amazing people that we get to come across every day. So thank you all so much for being here with us. We look forward to talking to you next week.
And we can't forget.
What?
To thank the Speakeasy Podcast Network.
Oh, sometimes I forget to mention people or things. So
Yeah,
check out speakeasynetwork.com. Thank you to Speakeasy Podcast Network for all that you do to make this podcast possible. Have a great week, everybody.